Okay, we're back. I have transferred my sketch onto my watercolor pad. This is a watercolor block by Arches. I will tell you that I had some problems with this particular pad delaminating, and we reported it to Jerry's. And as much as I love Arches paper, I don't think their customer service is very good, because they basically didn't even respond to the problem with the pads. So anyway, I've taken this is a woodless pencil by Progresso. This is a 2B. I'm putting in my darks so that when I wash over this, I don't lose where my darks are. I can always erase it if I need to. But I'm basically just putting in the darks that I see to remind myself that that's going to be a nice shadow. And probably the best thing to do would be to take this, and I'll just show you how to do this. So if I took this photograph and I go to edit, nope, all right, hang on. Cancel that. If I go to that little save button and I go over here to duplicate, it will make a duplicate of the same photograph. So I'll still have this one, but now I'll have a new one, and I'll take this one, this copy, and I will edit it and I will turn it into black and white. Probably that's a monotone. That's really nice right there, just to show me where the darks are. So right now I'm looking for the darkest darks in here, and I will switch back and forth between this photograph and the actual photograph to make sure that all my shadows are where they need to be. Just remind myself that that's a cloud shadow right there. Okay, so back to doing this. If you have an iPad, use it. They are invaluable for they're really a nice luxury. I used to always paint from photos that I printed out until I started using the iPad. And I'm just suggesting this, and I'll come back in a moment and soften all this, because you don't want your graphite smearing your watercolor. But I am just paying attention to the most significant lines here, and how as these planks go back, they have a shadow underneath. The sun is coming from this direction, I believe, in this photograph. So we're going to put these shadows in. And this is something I've started doing recently, just drawing the shadows right into, and I know that this is a shadow, but I'm not going to color that in, but I know that that's a shadow, and I know that that shadow continues on here, so I'm just reminding myself of that. Okay, and I know that this is not exactly how it should be, so let's try to correct that a little bit. I have also, this is an invaluable tool that I have. This is a Koh-i-Noor Mono Tomboy eraser, and it comes to a point, and it's a click. I don't know if I'm showing you, if you can see this. No, you can't see. Yeah, there it is. Okay. This is an eraser that has a point, and I actually sharpen this. I don't know if you can see that, but it is wonderful for getting details in your drawings. So I'll just make that correction there. And you know, none of this has to be in stone. When we start going over this with washes, it's all going to soften anyway. So if I'm going to lighten these lines a bit here, I can do it with this, just so they're not so harsh. The other thing that works even better for this, let me finish my shadows here and make sure there aren't any more that need to be in here. Actually, there are these two wonderful little pegs, I guess, whatever they are. This also, this right here has a very significant shadow. And when you're painting something that is man-made and perfectly straight, it's okay just to do and that actually has 3 surfaces, so it's more like that. Okay, and it does come up to the edge of the boat. So let's bring it right up there. Okay. All right. I did not put this, whatever this is right here, which is where the rope is tied around. I guess that's where you actually have the rope. And you can add this or not. Just get the illusion of the ropes coming around like that. And this has a top. You can see there's a slight perspective here on that. It also has a corner that comes out here and a corner that comes out here. Okay, so now just checking, I'm not going to put in whatever that is. And I'm sure about putting these ropes in back here. Actually, that's part of the boat, so I should include that. A lot of this detail you can't see when you're looking at far away photograph, you know, when it's small, and really that needs to be finer there, so we're not going to worry about that right now. This is very dark right here, so I'm just picking out. I'm not going to put the stay, well, I'll go ahead and put that in there. I'm not going to put a lot of detail inside the boat. And as you can see, that actually comes like that. It actually should be, yeah, okay. This actually has 2 surfaces as well. It has a top plane and a front plane, and I haven't drawn that in, but I can't draw that in with that pencil. It's not detailed enough. So, get that. That's the top plane. Then we'll drop down here. And we'll get a bottom plane on that. And that'll just give us a little more realism there. So if I put it in the wrong place. All right, so let's do this one. Let's give this one a front plane. Let's give this one a front plane. Bring that up a little bit there. And there's an awful lot of lines that's going to get very, these are going to get very confusing, so you have to be really careful when you're doing this. All right, let's just give this one another front plane there. And then we'll just make this, let's see here. All right, so that's going to be the main. This will be the front plane. This will be the back. Just give them a little more detail. That's the back. That's the front, the back of the top. And here's the front plane on that one. Okay, I like that. There's the back on that one. Comes up here. Here's the front. And there's the front plane, the front facing, and the front facing is always in shadow. So we'll just remind ourselves that that's darker. There we go. Right there. So that really should be back here. So, and this is how I flesh out a drawing. I'm not going to add these because I don't think they're attractive. So part of the whole process of making a good painting is deciding what to include, what not to include. So the more time you take fleshing out your drawing and getting it more how you want it to be, the better it's going to look and the happier you're going to be with it. This comes in here, it actually does this. And this is really too light of a pencil to be using on here. Okay, so I think that's detailed enough. I may go back in and add some things later, but for right now, I think that looks good. So now what I would do on this, if I wanted to, for this graphite to not smear, I would take my kneaded eraser and I would lightly just roll it over the dark places to pick up the excess graphite. You can also do this just so it doesn't smear. I have actually seen artists that will shade in the entire painting and then just paint right over it, but I'm always afraid I'm going to muddy it up if I do that. And of course, anything that's dark like this, your lines can be darker because they're going to be covered up anyway. So now we're going to mix up our paint. So in order to get the colors, we'll go back to our original photograph